In 1985, a movie walked into theaters carrying a murder weapon, a mansion full of suspects, and a reputation already half dead on arrival. Critics mocked it before the lights even dimmed. A board game adaptation? Hollywood must be desperate. Audiences hesitated. The box office shrugged. And just like that, Clue was labeled a failure. But here's what most people didn't know. Behind that so-called flop was a razor-sharp satire of Cold War paranoia, a cast forced into chaos just days before filming, and a marketing gamble so misguided it actually hid the film's best scene from most of the country. This wasn't just a comedy that missed its mark. It was a perfectly timed experiment, released at the wrong moment in history. And the decision that nearly destroyed it is the very reason we're still talking about it today. 1. The scene that saved the movie was never meant to exist. Let's start with the moment that quietly transformed Clue from a modest farce into a comedy legend. Madeline Kahn's unforgettable flames on the side of my face monologue was never in the script. Mrs. White was simply meant to confess she despised Yvette. Instead, Kahn built a slow-burning eruption in real time, voice quivering, eyes widening, fury spiraling into absurd poetry. The cast's reactions weren't performed, they were barely contained laughter. Today, it's one of the most quoted bits of American film comedy. Yet when the movie opened in 1985, most ticket buyers never saw it. The defining moment of the film was hidden in plain sight. 2. Two-thirds of theaters never showed the best ending. That disappearance traces back to Paramount's risky release strategy. Rather than debuting a single cut, the studio distributed 3 separate endings, A, B, and C, to different theaters. Moviegoers had no way of knowing which resolution they'd receive. Executives assumed curiosity would drive repeat viewings. Instead, uncertainty dampened interest. Audiences didn't want a scavenger hunt. They wanted a complete story. The ending featuring Kahn's improvised explosion appeared in only one version, limiting its reach. The fragmentation diluted word of mouth and blurred critical response. Everything changed with the 1986 VHS release, which combined all 3 endings seamlessly. Home video didn't merely revive the film, it revealed what theatrical audiences had missed. 3. A 4th ending was filmed and destroyed. Here's the twist almost no one talks about. There were actually 4 endings. In the discarded version, Wadsworth reveals himself as the sole mastermind, poisons everyone, and attempts escape only to be attacked by Dobermans in a police car. Director Jonathan Lynn cut it because it wasn't funny enough. Think about that discipline. In a film built on excess and chaos, restraint saved the tone. The removed ending survives only in the 1985 novelization. Its absence tightened the theatrical trio into something cleaner, sharper. Sometimes the secret to longevity isn't what you add, it's what you dare to remove. 4. The director lost his career over this gamble. When Clue underperformed at the box office, earning just under its $15 million budget, Hollywood reacted swiftly. Jonathan Lynn was removed from directing Roxanne with Steve Martin only days after release. One perceived failure was enough to stall his momentum. In mid-80s studio culture, reputation was everything. Yet history has a long memory. The very film that cost Lynn opportunity is now widely cited as one of the smartest ensemble comedies of its era. Hollywood often judges too quickly. Time judges more accurately. 5. The film was a Cold War satire in disguise. Set in 1954, the story unfolds during the year Senator McCarthy was censured. That choice was intentional. Lynn had friendships with blacklisted writers who fled America during the Red Scare. The mansion full of blackmailed strangers isn't random. It mirrors a country built on paranoia and hidden guilt. Every character harbors a secret. Every accusation feels political. Underneath the slapstick lies commentary about fear-driven hysteria. For viewers who lived through the Cold War, that undercurrent hits differently. The laughs mask something sharper. 6. The script nearly collapsed under its own concept. 5 writers attempted the screenplay before Lynn stepped in as the 6th. Even Tom Stoppard spent a year trying to crack it before walking away. The challenge wasn't rooms or weapons, it was structure. A board game doesn't provide emotional stakes. John Landis introduced the idea of multiple endings and strangers blackmailed by one host. That gave the story tension. But the mechanics were treacherous, too silly, and it becomes parody. Too serious, and the humor dies. The balance we see on screen was earned through years of failure. 7. It was the first board game movie and critics mocked it. In 1985, adapting a board game was considered embarrassing. Reviewers scoffed at the concept before they saw a frame. Today, franchise filmmaking thrives on intellectual property, but Clue arrived decades before that strategy felt legitimate. It walked so others could run. The skepticism shaped its early narrative. This wasn't a movie to take seriously. Ironically, that underestimation allowed it to surprise later generations. 8. Tim Curry was the third choice. Tim Curry wasn't the studio's first pick for Wadsworth. Leonard Rossiter was initially cast but died suddenly weeks before filming. Rowan Atkinson was considered but rejected as too unknown in America. Curry stepped in and delivered one of the most athletic comedic performances of the decade. His breathless final monologue, sprinting room to room, remains a masterclass in timing and stamina. Sometimes the perfect casting choice is the one born from chaos. 9. Carrie Fisher was replaced 4 days before filming. Carrie Fisher was originally cast as Miss Scarlet. She entered rehabilitation shortly before production. Though cleared to work, the insurance company refused coverage. Leslie Ann Warren shifted roles with almost no preparation time. Wardrobe adjusted overnight. Blocking changed. Yet that pressure added electricity to the performance. It's a reminder of how fragile productions can be and how resilience often shapes final chemistry. 10. Every actor received equal pay and billing. In an industry built on hierarchy, the main cast negotiated equal pay and alphabetical billing, no single star above the rest. That parity reinforced the ensemble dynamic. It also eliminated ego battles that could have derailed tone. The film feels balanced because, contractually, it was. 11. The mansion is gone forever. The Gothic exterior was the Max Bush House in South Pasadena, designed by architect Paul R. Williams. It burned down in 2005. The film now preserves an architectural relic. For audiences who value Hollywood history, that loss adds poignancy. Cinema often becomes the final archive of physical spaces. 12. The Floor's Mirror, the board game. Production designers replicated the exact parquet pattern of the original board. It's subtle, but the house literally becomes the game. The film never forgets its roots, even as it elevates them. 13. Some furniture came from old Hollywood. Rumors persist that certain throne chairs had once appeared during the RKO era, possibly even in Citizen Kane. Whether myth or truth, the intention was clear: ground the farce in grandeur. 14. The cast studied screwball classics. Before shooting, Lynn screened His Girl Friday to set rhythm. He wanted speed, snap, and overlapping dialogue. That choice explains why the humor still feels modern. It's built on timeless cadence. 15. The development took 6 years. Deborah Hill acquired rights in 1980. Studios rejected it repeatedly. It bounced between Paramount and Universal. Executive reshuffling finally revived it. The long gestation allowed the concept to mature, but also drained early enthusiasm. 16. The marketing confused critics. Newspapers listed which ending would play where, but reviewers weren't clearly informed. Some saw one version, others another. Word of mouth splintered before it could build momentum. 17. The box office looked like failure. Opening at number 6 in December 1985, competing against Rocky IV and The Color Purple, Clue barely recouped its budget. In studio math, that meant disappointment, even if audiences slowly grew. 18. Home video rewrote its legacy. When the VHS combined all 3 endings in 1986, everything changed. Viewers finally experienced the film as a complete experiment. Cable reruns amplified it. Families rewatched it. Quotes spread. The so-called failure became ritual viewing. The lesson is unmistakable. First impressions aren't final verdicts. Sometimes art needs distance, technology, and patience to find its audience. Clue teaches that bold ideas may stumble before they stand tall. Innovation can confuse before it inspires, and occasionally, the scene that defines a generation begins as an improvisation almost no one saw. In the end, Clue reminds us that timing can distort truth, but it can't erase quality. A film mocked for its premise, fractured by its own marketing, and nearly buried by early reviews survived because craftsmanship endures. Strong ensemble work, fearless performances, sharp satire, and bold structural risks don't expire. Sometimes audiences simply need distance to recognize what they've been given. Its legacy isn't just that it became a cult classic, it's proof that reputation can evolve, that failure can be temporary, and that creative risks are often misunderstood before they're celebrated. If you appreciate deep dives into the hidden history of classic films, subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us as we uncover the stories Hollywood almost forgot.